Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Like, Share, Follow Social Media Grad Chats. And this week I'm chatting to Fiona Dique. And Fiona is one of the very first students to complete the social media major at the University of the Sunshine Coast, but now she's the social media manager at C Square in Nambour. So Fiona, tell me what happened from when I last saw you towards the end of last year until now. I know a lot has happened in the world, but tell me in terms of your career, how this has all unfolded for you.
Yes, so I've worked for 4 different businesses. I actually created a agency myself, so Connect Co-Digital Agency, and did some work for a local law firm where I rebranded and rewrote their website. We also did some Facebook ads that were really successful, some lead generation ads. I did some work for a sewing store where I also wrote their website, and it was an e-commerce store. And I helped them with their Google business, setting that up. And one of the interesting stats I found from that one was one of the photos I uploaded to their Google business page got like 10,000 views in weeks. Yeah, it was really crazy, and that's really helped their business. And I was working for an ice block business as well as, and we did some Facebook ads for them that generated quite a few likes, more likes for the business. And more recently, I've started working for C Square in Nambour.
Great. Now tell me, what is C Square in Nambour, for those of you watching who don't know?
Well, C Square's been around for quite some time. It's a fairly historical place. It used to be known as Station Square. It used to be sort of the town hall area. And what we know it as today is, if you go to C Square, you will find Majestic Cinemas and cafes and a news agency, a real estate agent. So it's basically tenancies with a really large courtyard that often have events and that sort of thing. So, yeah, it's quite exciting.
And what is your role? So you're managing social media for them, and what does that actually involve?
So it involves talking with the tenants and helping the tenants with their pages, as well as posting for the square and telling the local Nambour story. Things like sharing information from the cinema, as well as local events that they're having. They're currently having an event. It's Homelessness Week, and there is a Homelessness Week photographic exhibition. So if you were to go to C Square, you'd see that up until the 13th of August. So yes, I'm trying to coordinate and talk to everybody and share this information with the C Square audience.
And that's great. I mean, it's what a wonderful initiative by C Square to actually have a social media manager on to support their tenants. I mean, I haven't heard anything like that. That's wonderful.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. And so tell me, what has been the best piece of advice that you've been given about your career?
Right. So best piece of advice, I'm all about digital strategy. And I enjoy that creative process. But the best piece of advice was probably the marketing funnel, which at the time during the assessment when I was at the uni, I didn't fully grasp it. But now I follow it in all of my strategies. So it's creating awareness and drawing the client down to take an action. And then through the end, that client then becomes an advocate of the brand. And Dennis Yu also provided us access to the Blitz metric courses, and he has a different kind of funnel. But that's probably the thing that I use the most.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just remembering that. And I think some businesses and people just forget that you need to sort of educate people first about who you are before trying to sell to them. So you can't, very rarely it might work if that person just really needs what you have. But generally, remember we compared it to asking someone to marry you on the first date. Yes, it may happen every now and again, but I'm not sure it's going to last, but it's just too soon, too much too soon. So you need to actually, get people to understand who you are and go through that process of not knowing who you are to then giving them something that they really want and that's going to solve a problem for them. And then getting them through to the point, giving them an amazing experience that by the end, they're going to tell everyone how great you are. So, I'm glad that you're like that's actually working for you now that you're out.
It does. Yeah, because one of the biggest things that I learned is that we can't continue to sell to people. We've got to provide information, and that's a great process to follow in order to do that.
Absolutely. And so getting like your role at C-Square Nambour, what do you think set you apart from other graduates or even other candidates that were going for that same?
Probably my understanding of social media. And, I have strengths in storytelling, and I have a good head for business. And it's not just about the creative. It's really understanding the statistics and focusing on the goals of the organisation and creating a strategy that achieves those goals.
Right. And I guess it's sort of that marrying up, because you need the creative and you need the strategic for it to actually to function well and achieve those goals.
And I think what I love about social media is that it has all of those things, and I enjoy every aspect of it.
Excellent. And I mean, even the data, like when you're analysing the data, like that helps you to be creative as well, because then it informs you of what you can do and what's going to work. And then, it gives you actually a lot of freedom based on your analysis. And so looking at the things that you studied at university, what do you think helped you the most? What are some of the things that you really used a lot when you've been out now working?
Yes, so it was the social media audit, and that's the first thing that I do whenever I am introduced to a new client or a new brand, because understanding your audience is the absolute key. And a social media audit asks a few important things, what are the goals, who are the competitors, and who do they think their audience is? And so with that, you're able to get an idea and have an understanding of where you can make recommendations and improvements already. So that's probably the thing that's helped me the most.
And what is something that you wish you had have learned when you're at university that you've had to learn since leaving because you've actually really needed that knowledge?
Yes, it's in Google Business and Google Ads. And in order to fill that gap that I have, I'm actually looking at the Google Skill Shop. Completing those courses online so that I'm becoming Google accredited. And also revisiting Facebook information and looking at the Facebook certification, the blueprint, so that I can become Facebook accredited as well.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's worth doing those certifications. And the Google ones are excellent because they're free, most of them, and they give you a really good handle on, there are real experts in, say, Google Ads and things like that. It's actually quite a science to do that. But to get just basic understanding, learning and doing those certifications, those free ones, are really, really helpful.
Yeah, and I mean, the ads that I've created for clients have been quite successful. We're getting good click-through rates, and it's similar to Facebook. But yes, it would be great if there was a unit that, the USC could have done. Yeah, for sure.
Which focus more, because we focus more on, say, like the social media marketing, and whereas Google's more like the overall digital marketing, and I would love to do that as well. But maybe I'll have to see if I can add in another course. It might be a while though. In the current climate.
And I admit, so I initially, when I worked out my courses, I was doing a marketing major, and the year that I had to do more marketing courses, you released the social media major, and I'm so grateful for that, because I quite enjoy the pulling. It's a pull marketing as opposed to a push marketing. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's the thing. It's about my whole thing is it's about being helpful to your audience. And so if you're providing them with helpful information, then you'll build, and it's about relationship building as well. So it's about, actually giving, and through giving, you end up receiving, because it's building that relationship, and more of it, it's that trust, I mean, customers need to trust you before they're going to hand over their money to you. Donors for charities have to trust the organisation before they do that too. So so it's all about approaching it in that sort of giving way. And so, because now you're right out in it, social media and digital marketing is what you're doing all the time now. So in the last 2 weeks, can you tell me a tip or a hack or something that you've discovered, or a piece of information that you've discovered that's new to you relating to social media or digital marketing that you found really useful?
Yes, so we've heard that video is amazing, and it's the Mark Zuckerberg, he called it something that it's a mega trend, but the thing is that square videos actually increase your views by 35%.
Yeah, right.
So changing from portrait or landscape to square.
And so have you tested this out yourself?
Yes, I have. Yeah. I haven't seen any difference actually, but
But maybe over time.
Yes.
You do it. And now there's lots of great sort of functions in different editing tools that allow you to actually format in that way as well.
Because I'm doing it through iMovie and then going over to Keynote. Do you know another way?
Well, there's the Adobe products are really good. So the Adobe editing tools, and even WeVideo, which is also one of my favorites. You can actually upload and reformat into a range of different ones as well. So
I'll
check
that out.
And so tell me too, now that you've been out, it sounds like you've been in jail. You're out. Do you have any advice for, say, emerging social media professionals or current social media students on how they succeed in a career like working in social media or digital marketing?
And I think the great thing is the foundations that you give students, because everything that you teach is useful and it works. My biggest failure was that I didn't actually ask enough questions. So my advice is always to ask questions and to commit to continued learning after you're finished. As I said, I was looking at the Google and the Facebook courses. And so for me, it's interesting how all the light bulbs and the dots connect now. And so, so that would be my advice. Ask questions and have a go. Yeah,
that's it. Have a go. And just to realize that you never stop learning. I'm still doing courses, it does. Because it changes all the time, which makes it so much more interesting, because, you have to keep learning and increasing your skills. So, just because you finish uni doesn't mean that that's it.
No, and because it keeps changing, there's updates from Facebook, and I think Google's algorithms are changing how they do things all the time. And now you can create stories through the Creator Studio in Facebook for Instagram. So, it's constantly updating and changing.
Yeah. And so tell me, this is the most important question of all, is who do you share and follow?
Top for me is Dr. Karen Sutherland.
Oh,
and
wow.
Then,
I better
Dennis. Also Dennis Yu, and I follow people like Mark Zuckerberg and Richard Branson as well. And I just like to follow their story more than anything. Yeah.
Okay. And do you have any final words for our viewers?
Just to immerse yourself, enjoy the ride, and I really miss it actually. I really miss you mentioned the graduates before in one of your questions, and I really miss being part of that group where we support one another and everyone's there to help each other. And while we still connect and we can continue to support one another. I just miss it. So enjoy it.
Maybe we need to start a social media alumni group or something.
Yes, absolutely.
Get together and you know, have some fun get-togethers and meetings and stuff.
Yeah.
Share, like a meetup or something. That I could share our latest social media knowledge.
Yes, it's always good to catch up because everybody's got some interesting tips that they've come across. And what's been good is watching these episodes of Like, Share, Follow, because every episode I've got a new tip that I've been able to use and incorporate. So thank you.
Excellent. Well, that's great feedback. Thank you.
No worries.
And before we finish, I just want Anthony Roberto has been watching, and he said he's been enjoying your insight of social media. So, and he's saying good morning from sunny Melbourne, even though it's very brisk. So,
oh, wow.
There you go. Thank you so much for being on this episode. And
no worries. Thank you.
Pleasure. And next week we have Zoe Brenke, who is the local engagement officer at Bendigo Bank. And Zoe has been behind the development of the implementation of a 4-year social media strategy, which is a strategy of that length is not a usual or a common thing. So I'll be really interested to talk to Zoe about that. So thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you next week on Like, Share, Follow.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Karina.